Abusia Asiedu Nketia ede nsɛm bi abetudwa aya amanfo dodo na mo social media ebubu ho ebra MPP amanyokuo no omoto aba ewi enra declare Dr. Bawumia se ono ano ye winner ede ema MPP sese ono na eba bedi otu franka no ede ama amanyokuo kese efe no New Patriotic Party na eno na interview session bi koso na yebusa Asiedu Nketia efa aye Dr. Bawumia ewini ya wawini no sebe ehon pomponso ene ehon reactions ekoso sebe ebesi affect omo ana influence benya ewo eye NDC amanyukuo no so ebra ye pempen so ne akọ eye 2024 abusia ensemu Asiedu Nketia kan ne de esewani ensese o ka kire yebekọ ne akọ akotie eye ensemu Asiedu Nketia watoto bi ede amane eye MPP amanyukuo no ene sere a osere ene nanimpoji agye se yato aba no ede ama Dr. Bawumia se omrama metu franka amfa ma MPP ono okiremu a the way a MPP fo no onim se omokwa sise omadwene no makwa ebibi foforo no se omode Dr. Bawumia na eba de a ene agro no emu be ye de papa 2024 ye December no busia yanko straight to Asiedu Nketia ono ano ye NDC fo nyina no omo chairman a chese ono anu aba be yi sa ensemia no a otutu bi edemane Bawumia ene MPP amanyukuo no yankomra ya ba yaka bia no yede beto amoso pepepe
and seeming disinterest rather as you know the candidate for the NPP. It would seem that the NDC is afraid of Dr. Bawumia on the ticket of the NPP.
We as a political party have never taken any position about our preference of candidates from the MPP side because we don't take those decisions.
How do you think your candidate, former President John Dramani Mahama, measures up against the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia?
I'm not interested in limiting President John Mahama, comparing President John Mahama with Bawumia. My position, if you care to know, our position is that whoever comes will be defeated by President Mahama.
What makes you think that, regardless of who comes up, the NDC's John Dramani Mahama is a better candidate on the ballot?
Because we will have a stronger program, for reviving this economy and provide hope for the youth of this country. Because we are known to have done more generational thinking than what we are seeing now. We are seeing empty sloganeering that will attract clapping momentarily, even if the following day we will have to be crying. That is not the way to run a country. So when we come, even if we are calling on the current generation to tighten their belt, we will show them that this is the reason why you are tightening your belt. It's because of the future generation. You cannot continue to live in a situation where now the future of the current the future of this country we are handing over to the younger ones. It's debt, unsustainable debt that they cannot pay. We are consuming today and pushing the burden of paying for our current consumption on the future generations. It is unfair. We are destroying the environment today and looking for resources, gold, whatever, and so on, and then pushing the mess, the environmental mess, to future generations. Right. That is also not good. And many other things. So let's begin thinking about how our country will look like in future. And when we are taking decisions today, let us be mindful about what future we are bequeathing.
Despite what you have just told us, the NPP General Secretary last week on this program told us that, and I'm quoting, I can assure you that after our presidential candidate has laid down his vision for Ghanaians, any negative thought about the NPP will be revised.
We have heard this before. His predecessor told us that by the end of the affairs term, we will be importing youth from other countries to come and work here because we will run short of labor. John Boadu is on record to have said it. So what is new about JFK saying something like that?
I want to know what the NDC envisions the 2024 elections to be. Do you expect it to be a tightly contested race?
I don't engage in this type of conversation because it has it's a double-edged sword. If you paint a picture of an easy election, that works against you because it goes to, encourage your people to go to sleep because we have won already. On the other hand, if you paint a very bad picture too, it has a way of demoralizing some people. But what I'm saying is that we have work to do. It is not over until it is over. So let everybody put in their best effort, and then we will win come January 2025.
What do you have to say to analysts who have measured, based on their predictions, that Dr. Bawumia will be on the ticket of the NPP, with John Dramani Mahama on the NDC, the 2024 election?
We have a candidate already, and we expected that constituency to be created much earlier, so that elections could happen there for that the winner to join the current parliament to give them a voice. I don't know what happened, and they kept delaying it up to today. So the whole process of denying them the right to participate in the 2020 election has been wrong, very unconstitutional, and very undemocratic. And so if there is any effort to correct something that has been wrong, we can only applaud them for so doing.
I see. All other things being equal, we're going to have 276 MPs. There are those who believe that based on the increase in population, we should have more constituencies. What does the party think about that?
The party has not taken its decision, besides the fact that when we complain about the size of government, we should not be condoning an increase in the size of government whilst we ourselves are complaining about the size of government. For some of us, we think that even the 276 are way too high for our type of, country.
Right.
If you take our population and compare it with the population of United Kingdom and other democracies, you realize that we are carrying too many MPs. If I had my way, I would have preferred Ghana running with the 200 MPs that we projected when we were writing the Constitution. Unfortunately, there was a loophole in the Constitution that was exploited by President Kufuor's government, which was condoned by the then judiciary. And that is where we are now. We have opened the floodgates for anybody to create any number of constituencies, so long as they find themselves in government. Because if you look at the clause that allows for the creation of constituencies, it states explicitly that constituencies boundaries can be revised after population census. You understand? The revision does not necessarily imply creating more constituencies. We are talking about shift in populations within the 10 years and so on that may make one constituency excessively large as against the other constituencies that are depopulated and so on. Right. So that was the thinking of the Consultative Assembly as at that time we were putting it there. So nobody anticipated that we'll be having close to 300 MPs as at this stage. But then we also put in another clause that required that if a government, in order to prevent gerrymandering, if a government wants to create constituencies, those constituencies cannot be used for the elections ahead. So that if you you propose constituencies, those proposed constituencies must form part of your manifesto getting into the election. So if you are defeated, those constituencies will not be created.
I see.
But when President Kufuor came and he created some constituencies, the matter was sent to court. In fact, the national chairman of MPP, President Kufuor's party at that time, spoke against it and said that, look, this one, we cannot create these constituencies and use them in the 2004 elections. So if we create them, if we want to create them now, we propose them. So it is only after 2004 that they can be used in the election. But the matter was sent to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, instead of going into the merits of the case, they ruled based on the time of filing propriety or whatever, the procedural issue, and then they never went into that thing. So President Kufuor was able to use those constituencies created that year and went into election with it.
Do you think the same thing could be happening?
And that opened the floodgates.
We're going to come back to the electoral process, but I also want us to look at, you tell us really, how different the mindset of the incoming, of your incoming, NDC administration would be. I mean, ending your spell before the 2016 elections, you had given us Terminal 3. You had given us great investments into Ghana Gas, which we're enjoying today. Electricity situation had improved by the time you were headed out. What is the mindset coming back to the Ghanaian people?
So you knew the answers to the questions you were asking before you asked them previously. You are now telling us what the real achievements are.
There are always two sides to the coin. You'd agree. Two sides to the coin.
Those are generational investments, and that is what I have been talking about. Those are things that the hospitals we are building, the airports, and all the things you talk about, the power we are providing, the infrastructure, road infrastructure, and the other pieces of infrastructure. Those are the things that lay the foundation for any economy to take off and provide a better future for your next generation. So when we come, certainly we continue along those lines, because you cannot develop a country without a solid infrastructure base. Infrastructure itself is not a sufficient condition for development, but it is a necessary condition. When we're building the infrastructure, people misconstrued as to mean that everything in the country is about infrastructure. We never said that. We said that even though infrastructure is not a sufficient condition for development, it is a necessary condition. You cannot develop without infrastructure. So let's fix it. If we have limited resources, let's fix the infrastructure. We will get to a point where, with the minimum infrastructure laid, the other things like attracting investment to generate growth and all that will naturally follow.
How do you think this administration compares to your record of infrastructure?
Go and ask the citizens, not me. You have been covering the poor road network and all that throughout the country. You've been covering the creation of Ministry of Railways, which is focusing on dismantling old rail lines and selling as scrap. You have been covering it in your network. And so we have decided to lay back a little and let the citizens do the talking. Let them testify about what is happening in their areas. And that is why what is happening is happening. If we had proceeded on taking the lead in talking about infrastructure here, lack of roads here, see the cocoa roads that were abandoned at a certain point in time just because somebody decided washed away. Now you are struggling. Oh, the whole half is coming. That by versus NDC alone, NDC and PP. They were all was for the Peace Council. Then after that, the last meeting would have been to iron out our meeting, NDC and stakeholders of our. We thought that after it to take place, it took if they did
Council may revive talk.
It's because lately I've heard put the blame on NDC, and now the cat is not NDC that was being recalcitrant told, because according to the Peace Council, they have not met with the chairperson. They try, there will be an excuse.
Comments from the NPP regarding how the Ghanaian people would view them going into the 2024 elections. They say, look, we've got a whole year ahead of us and things are going to improve within that year. Ghanaians would have forgotten the NDC by then.
So they are accepting that things are no good now. You are talking now, you are hoping to improve. So the assumption is that you now agree that things are no good.
Absolutely.
They accept that things are no good.
And they think that by the time it's December 2024, things would have improved and Ghanaians would have forgotten the NDC.
We wish them well.
Well, so if things have improved, then what else would the NDC be holding the NPP to?
Are you saying that in countries where there is double-digit economic growth, there is no change of government in any election?
Again, I'm asking that question because
you see, the economy is just part of the, what do you call it? Part of the problems you deal with in the campaign. It's not the only thing that features in the campaign.
So what else would you be holding the NPP to account?
Bad governance. The verdict is out that NPP has demonstrated, in the past 8 years, has demonstrated the worst form of governance this country has ever witnessed in this Fourth Republic. And so, bad governance is a major issue that is going to feature in the next election. You understand? Whether your economy improves or does not improve, nobody can live in a country where there is such a discrimination that even when the discrimination has permeated every facet of life, that if you are this, this is the law that applies to you. If you are this, no law applies to you, even if you do the wrong thing. Go and look at the distribution of practically every state resource in this country. Today, all opportunities, practically all opportunities in the country are located based on whom you know, where you come from, and which party you belong to. Is that the democracy you want to live under? Today, you have a system where majority of Ghanaians cannot trust in the criminal justice system. And it has been demonstrated all over in research upon research.
I see.
And today, regions and groups of populations don't feel belonged to the system. So even in the recruitment into the security services, look at what is happening. Do you think that that is a sustainable way of maintaining our democracy, where recruitment into the security services is based on whom you know and your links in government? You are going to have a security system that is polarized and cannot unite to fight any enemy. You see, so there are issues of governance, there are issues about corruption, nepotism, and many, many other, lack of respect. I mean, leadership not taking responsibility.
Right.
So, and trying to shift responsibility to everybody apart from themselves.
Chairman, my guess is the NDC may have learned some lessons since 2016. Again, because a lot of these things you're saying were also things that we had and reported on under the NDC.
You preach them.
What are some of the...
you preach them when they didn't exist. And because you were hearing...
Is that the case?
Yes, you preach